Your grandmother had a cupboard she never opened. The good china, the good tablecloth, kept for best, for a day that never quite came. Some of it is worth thousands, most of it isn't. Here's which. 10. The good tablecloth. Start with the one that comes out of the drawer smelling faintly of lavender. Irish linen, damask, hand-embroidered, sometimes by a relative nobody living remembers. Ironed, folded, and put away for Christmas, and often not even then. Here's the honest position. Household linen is one of the lowest value things in this video. The market for formal table linen collapsed with formal dining itself. What still sells? Genuine hand-worked lace, complete monogrammed sets, and anything unused with its original folds still crisp. Stains and yellowing kill it entirely. So why start here? Because it sets up the pattern that governs everything else. These things weren't saved because they were valuable. They were saved because they were special. Those are different things, and only sometimes the same. 9. The best china. Almost certainly Royal Albert. Almost certainly Old Country Roses. Launched in 1962, it became the most successful design the company ever made. Over 150 million pieces sold, which tells you both why every British home had it and why it isn't rare. The numbers are real, and they're wide. Auction results range from around £25 to £1,800, with a median near £280. Complete collections do better. Roughly 90 pieces sold for £340. A 233-piece collection including 42 teacups made £500, and one enormous collection of about 500 pieces, tureens, platters, cutlery, reached a hammer price of £3,700. But a Sotheby's-trained appraiser put it bluntly. This pattern was in the top 10 20 years ago, and now it's hard to get much for it. So here's the one thing to check. Turn a plate over and read the country. For decades, this was made in Staffordshire. In the early 2000s, production moved offshore. Collectors pay for the earlier England-made pieces, denser gilding, heavier hand finishing, older back stamps. Same pattern, two different markets, and the base tells you which one you're in. Worth knowing, too, the discontinued sister patterns can beat it. A 118-piece Moonlight Rose collection sold for £1,900, more than most Old Country Roses sets of similar size. 8. The figurine on the shelf. The Royal Doulton lady in the flowing dress. Dusted weekly for 50 years, never once moved. For decades, people genuinely believed these were an investment, and whole collections were built on that belief. The reality is harder. The market for standard Royal Doulton figurines has softened badly. There are over 4,000 different models, most produced in enormous numbers, and the generation that collected them is downsizing all at once. So supply has flooded a market with fewer buyers. There are real exceptions. Early pre-1939 pieces with the potted mark, short-run limited editions, rare colorways. Those still command proper money. But if you have a shelf of ordinary figurines and you've been counting on them, I'd rather tell you now than let you find out at the sale room. 7. The cut crystal, the decanter that never held anything, the sherry glasses used twice, the fruit bowl heavy enough to stun a burglar. Same story as the linen, same cause. Formal entertaining ended, and mass-produced cut glass ended with it. Ordinary sets now sell for very little, and British charity shops are full of them. The exceptions: pieces signed by named designers, and anything marked by the better Scandinavian or studio makers. Those live in a different market entirely. Right. That's the disappointment done. From here, everything climbs. The fur coat, in a zipped bag at the back of the wardrobe, on a padded hanger, worn perhaps 4 times. Be prepared for a shock, and not the good kind. The resale market for fur has fallen sharply, partly fashion, largely ethics. Realistic figures. Common or well-worn examples run £40 to £320. Quality mid-range furs, mink, fox, in good condition sit around £320 to £950. Genuinely rare luxury furs like sable, chinchilla, or ermine reach 650 pounds to 1,600 pounds and up. One real appraisal. A mink insured in 1974 for over 1,000 pounds of replacement value was assessed decades later at roughly 280 pounds to 400 pounds. The exception is enormous, though. A designer label changes everything. Coats by houses that no longer use fur at all can reach the tens of thousands, so check the lining for a label before you check anything else. And a genuine legal warning: furs from certain protected species cannot lawfully be sold at all, even secondhand. 5. The fountain pen. In the top drawer, in a box, with the guarantee still folded inside it. Given for a 21st or a retirement, and never used because it was too good to use. If it says Conway Stewart, pay attention. Founded in East London in 1905, British-made, and famously used by Winston Churchill. Auction results for Conway Stewart. Pens run from about 28 pounds to 1,200 pounds. What pushes a pen to the top of that range? A 14-karat or 22-karat gold nib, the original box, the guarantee, and the rarer marbled and patterned barrels. Cracked ice, pearl, bottle green. Matched pen and pencil sets in their original boxes are worth substantially more than a single pen, which is exactly why kept for best works in your favor here. The ones that were used got lost. The ones kept in a drawer survived complete. 4. The mantelpiece ornament. Bright orange, hand-painted. Bought in a department store as affordable modern art, and never dusted with anything but a cloth. This is Poole Pottery Delphis. Ordinary pieces sell in the tens of pounds. Good ones reach the hundreds. One collecting guide puts strong Delphis vases around 500 pounds, and the named designers are in another league. A charger by Tony Morris reached 5,200 pounds at a London auction. Turn it over. Poole pieces carry an impressed dolphin mark and a painter's monogram. That monogram is the difference between a 40-pound vase and a 400-pound one. 3. The vase on the windowsill. Heavy textured glass in tangerine, kingfisher blue or cinnamon, with a surface like tree bark. Jeffrey Baxter's textured range for Whitefriars. Small pieces start around 30 pounds. Larger ones in standard colors trade in the low hundreds. The famous shapes are what collectors chase. Price guides put the tangerine banjo vase at 700 pounds to 1,000 pounds, and a drunken bricklayer sold at a UK auction for 700 pounds. A genuine warning: Whitefriars is faked, and fakes circulate at antiques fairs in slightly wrong colors. It was rarely signed. Get it verified before you celebrate. 2. The rough Cornish pottery textured, geometric, almost archaeological. Troika, made in Cornwall, and the factory closed in 1983, so nothing new has existed for 40 years. Smaller pieces sell in the low hundreds. Strong ones go far beyond. One dealer listed a genuine piece at nearly 2,400 pounds in 2025. The base decides it again. Troika pieces are marked with a decorator's monogram, and certain decorators command dramatically more than others. Photograph the base before you do anything else. 1. The box in the bottom of the sideboard wooden case. Green baize lining. Fitted trays. Used at Christmas, and only at Christmas. 2 identical-looking boxes. 2 completely different fortunes. If the pieces are marked EPNS, electroplated nickel-silver, the silver layer is so thin the piece has almost no melt value at all. But if they carry full British hallmarks, including the little walking lion, the lion passant, that's sterling, 92.5% pure. Real figures. A 12-place canteen by Mappin and Webb, hallmarked London 1979, has been offered at 12,250 pounds. A 48-piece sterling set retailed by Asprey, Sheffield, 1973, 3,250 pounds. One honest caveat. Most knives have hollow handles filled with resin over a steel blade, so don't weigh the box and multiply. But that box is in British sideboards by the tens of thousands, and most owners have never turned a single fork over to look. So here's the strange thing about for best. The linen, the crystal, the figurines, the things treasured most carefully, largely didn't hold their value. The cutlery nobody thought about, and the ornament bought because it was cheerful, did. Turn things over. Read the country on the china. Find the monogram under the vase. Look for the lion on the fork. And tell me in the comments, what did your grandmother keep for best? Is it still in the family? If you remember this Britain, subscribe. There's more coming.